Good day, everyone. In our previous lecture, we learned the importance about the first basic principle in virtual reality, which is immersion. Now, we will learn about the next set of principles to keep in mind, especially while designing and experiencing virtual reality. Today, we are going to learn about the concept of perception, presence, and flow. I request you all to please understand these concepts very carefully, since they will be required while designing in virtual reality. Let's start with understanding these concepts. Let's start with understanding what is perception. Why is perception important in virtual reality? I request all to listen and try to understand this. Perception is the sensory experience of the world. It involves both recognizing environment stimuli and actions in response to these stimuli. While our sensory receptors are constantly collecting information from the environment, it is ultimately how we interpret that information that affects how we interact with the world. Perception refers to the way sensory information is organized, interpreted, and consciously experienced. Perception involves both bottom up and top down processing. Bottom up processing refers to the fact that perceptions are built from sensory input. On the other hand, how we interpret those sensations is influenced by our available knowledge, our experiences, and our thoughts. This is called top down processing. One way to think of this concept is that sensation is a physical process, whereas perception is psychological. For example, upon walking into a kitchen and smelling the scent of baking cinnamon rolls, the sensation is the scent receptors detecting the odor of cinnamon. But the perception may be, this smells like the bread grandma used to bake and the family gathered for holidays. Perception includes the five senses: touch, sight, sound, smell, and taste. It also includes what is known as proprioception, a set of senses involving the ability to detect changes in body positions and movements. It also involves the cognitive processes required to process information, such as recognizing the face of a friend or detecting a familiar scent. Virtual reality is about how to create perceptions of things and the tricks that you can use to manipulate the visual environment to create this perception, says Balasubramaniam. If you understand those tricks, you can use them to your advantage as a virtual reality engineer. To understand how effective VR works, we first need to understand a little bit about how the brain makes sense of the world around us. Let us stop and think about the senses that allow us to experience the world: vision, hearing, and touch, to name a few. To make sense of the world, the brain needs to first bring in information from sensory organs such as the eyes, ears, and skin. But bringing in the information only describes sensation. The different ways our body has to bring us information about the world around us, and the act of sending that information to our brain to perceive, the act of transmitting information from the sense organs to the brain. What happens next is that the brain interprets this information, allowing us to understand what is happening in the environment. The brain's interpretation of the senses, which create our understanding, is called perception. The process of our brain interpreting our senses into experiences. For instance, we can see a dog running across the room, hear her bark, and feel her fur brush against our skin. These are sensations that we come to understand and perceive as experiences. The sensations all come together through perception to give us the experience of the dog. It is this interplay of sensation and perception, our brain's interpretation of this information, that creates our experience of reality. And this is the basic concept that you'll use when you're actually in virtual reality. How do you perceive the surroundings in virtual reality is a challenge that we must address while developing VR experiences. Let's look at the next concept, which is called telepresence. Let's understand first what is telepresence. Telepresence refers to a set of technologies which allow a person to feel as if they were present, to give the appearance of being present, or to have an effect via telerobotics at a place other than the true location. Think about teleporting your mind, such that alternate location that you are teleported to actually feels real. Telepresence requires that the user's senses be provided with such stimuli as to give the feeling of being in that other location. Additionally, users may be given the ability to affect the remote location. In this case, the user's position, movements, action, voice, etc. may be sensed, transmitted, and duplicated in the remote location to bring about this effect. Therefore, information may be traveling in both directions between the users and the remote location. A popular application found in telepresence is found in telepresence video conferencing, the highest possible level of video telephony. Telepresence via video deploys greater technical sophistication and improved fidelity of both sight and sound than in traditional video conferencing. Technical advancements in mobile collaboration have also extended the capabilities of video conferencing beyond the boardroom for use with handheld mobile devices, enabling collaboration independent of location. Telepresence might be used to disarm bombs, handle toxic materials, and conduct dangerous military missions. Telepresence has been suggested as a method of performing surgery by remote control and as a method of performing nanoscale operations by scaling down a telechair by a factor of thousands or millions. We have understood telepresence in our previous slide, but why is telepresence actually important in virtual reality? Let's understand that now. Virtual reality is a technology designed to immerse us into a fictitious reality through sensory simulation, and currently, it is certainly the most advanced way to induce telepresence. Currently, the most common VR products are headsets, which often allow the stimulation of two human senses, sight and hearing. However, there are new products being developed which can also simulate additional senses, such as smell and even taste. The more human senses we stimulate through VR, the more a sense of telepresence is triggered. Let me give you an example. Think about driving a rover on Mars while sitting on Earth using telepresence and virtual reality. You are able to drive the rover on Mars as if you are sitting inside the rover. This is because of the presence of virtual reality content being so real enough that you are teleported to Mars without even moving out of Earth. This has been tried by many times by various space organizations. That's the reason telepresence has been important while developing content in virtual reality. Think about the last time you got so absorbed in a task that the rest of the world just faded away. Maybe you were playing basketball with a group of friends and your team just clicked, or you are a musician who got lost in your instrument for hours on end. There's a good chance when this happened, you were in flow. Flow is a psychological state that arises when a person is so engaged by the current activity that their sense of self entirely fades away. The most common place we hear flow talked about in sports. Athletes know when they get in the zone, they can perform incredible feats. Musicians and artists also use the flow to create the greatest works. Likely, it was an engineer in flow state that designed the device you are reading this on. Creative types know the flow state to be that magical moment where they become fully immersed and one with the article, art piece, or new design they are working on. Fit gamers experience flow or time dilation when they have achieved a continuous stream of combo punches in a VR boxing game, or when they put the headset on and become fully immersed in the virtual world around them. VR flow is achieved easily when a player's sense of sight, sound, and touch are taken on an interactive journey, experiencing a change in time Perception, flow, or time dilation happens frequently for VR headset owners and can be attributed to the development of the games. Virtual reality game developers and studios aim to create games that hack the mental and physical flow states through immersion of VR. The article Visions of VR Future 7 Reasons VR Will Change Sports Forever, written by Preston Lewis, explains that virtual reality is the technology of presence because your vision is completely taken over. With the right VR design patterns, your brain believes that you have been transported to another world, and the environment and the game you are experiencing has the potential to put you in a flow state and dilate your sense of time. This is especially important when paired with fitness. The three concepts that we looked at, perception, telepresence, and flow, all together comprise of an immersive virtual reality experience. Therefore, when you develop a VR experience and show it to someone, how well your VR experience is developed will depend on how much a person is immersed into it, and which will further depend on these three important concepts. Today's lecture, we focused on three concepts: perception, telepresence, and flow. These concepts are again very much required to achieve immersion in any virtual reality experience. As you start experiencing and developing VR experiences, you will see that how these are actually felt by you and how they led to your engagement with the experience. In the next chapter, we will be talking about the degrees of freedom in VR. Thank you.